Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. The Dave Ramsey team over at Ramsey Solutions conducted the largest study on millionaires ever done. They talked to 10,000 millionaires, which is a pretty good sample size. They did use the traditional metric of measuring millionaire status, which is to include one's home value, so that is worth noting. But I think a lot of the times when people think of those most likely to become millionaires, they think of those with very high incomes, which makes sense. With a bigger income, it should be easier to build a higher net worth. But surprisingly, that's not what they found is actually the case. In fact, here are the top 25 highest paying careers in the US. And spoiler alert, none of these professions were in the Ramsey Solutions top 5 careers for making the most millionaires. Prior to the Ramsey's Millionaire study, the authors of The Millionaire Next Door conducted a similar experiment with similar findings, looking at the behaviors of those who reached 7-figure status back in the mid-90s. The Millionaire Next Door authors found that millionaires are disproportionately clustered in middle-class and blue-collar neighborhoods, and not in more affluent or white-collar communities. This came as a surprise to the authors who anticipated the contrary. Might be hard to believe, but that book is almost 27 years old. But if you haven't read The Millionaire Next Door, it is still totally worth reading. It's a phenomenal book, an absolute classic. When Dave Ramsey's team set out to capture what today's millionaire looked like, a lot of what they found echoed Dr. Stanley's original work. Many of those who end up in high-paying fields spend more on luxurious goods or status items, and that can really impede their wealth-building process. And this extra spending can actually show up in practically any and every category of life. Think a more expensive home or luxury cars, more expensive vacations. Maybe it's flying first class as opposed to economy. Maybe it's staying in a 5-star hotel as opposed to a Holiday Inn. It's dinners and clothes that come with a higher price tag. Maybe the kids go to private school, or maybe they just participate in more expensive activities. Perhaps there's even help around the home. Maybe there's a nanny for the kids, a housekeeper, or even a chef. And because we tend to surround ourselves with friends who are in a similar economic bracket or in similar career fields, all of this spending can look rather normal, and it can even be encouraged because it's just what everyone's doing anyway. And it's because of this that over 70% of people describe themselves as being middle class. People look around and say, yeah, I'm basically the same as everyone else. I'm right in the middle. And there's nothing wrong with spending on nice things. You work hard for your money, spend on the things that make you happy. But keep in mind, it is possible to overspend at practically any income level. I love the saying, you can have anything you want, you just can't have everything you want. So what are the careers that create the most millionaires according to Ramsey Solutions? Well, they are engineer, accountant, teacher, management, and attorney. What career field do you work in? Do you work in any of these? Let me know in a comment down below. Now, I know with these careers, there can be a great deal of variability. Like there's different types of engineers, and there's very different pay between a CPA and a corporate accountant. Same with managers and attorneys. But the bottom line is that these are very normal careers, and outside of a lawyer, the others really only require an undergrad degree. And when you look at the average pay for these careers, you see that for most of them, the incomes are not all that jaw-dropping. In fact, none of them have an average salary that falls in the 6-figure range. And actually, only 15% of the study's participants actually held C-suite positions. Think CEO, CFO, COO positions like that. Which is probably why 93% of millionaires said they got their wealth because they worked hard, not because they had big salaries. Now let's be clear, income absolutely matters. It becomes exponentially easier to set aside money to save and invest when you make more money. And for those people who are financially inclined, when they make more, they do save more. But we know we live in a consumer-driven society. We see it all the time. People who make more just spend more. It is a very easy trap to fall into. In the Ramsey study, only 31% averaged an income of over $100,000 a year over the course of their career, and 1/3 never made 6 figures in any single working year of their career. I think the fact that 1/3 of the participants never made 6 figures in their working careers is pretty telling. It shows discipline. It shows that pretty much anyone can do this. My grandparents fell in this category. They worked very normal jobs. My grandma was a seamstress and my grandpa worked for the mine. If you're a Youper, he worked for CCI. And they worked in the 50s, the 60s, 70s, a time when wages weren't more than a few $1,000s a year, but they were frugal. They were frugal to the max. I remember one time I went out to get us dinner. It was pasties, which are these handheld little meat pies. Absolutely delicious, and they're known for them in the UP. When I got back, my grandma asked to see the receipt. I handed it over and she saw that it was $7 per pasty, and she's like, "We're never going there again. That is too expensive." We definitely went there again. I just made sure to throw out the receipt before I got home because that place just made absolutely delicious pasties. But the point is, they were frugal. They always lived below their means. They watched every single penny. And through investing in the stock market, they were able to generate a 7-figure net worth. Just like in the Ramsey study, 3 out of 4 millionaires, 75%, said that regular, consistent investing over a long period of time is the reason for their success. In fact, 8 out of 10 millionaires invested in their 401k plan and said that that simple step was a key to their financial success. Not only that, but 3 out of 4 of those surveyed also invested outside of their company's plan as well. I think this shows that millionaires are not average Joes. Sure, they may look like your everyday neighbor, but they're very deliberate with their finances. Consider that only 56% of US adults own stock. And you can see that these everyday millionaires defy statistics. Not only are they participating in their company's plans, but they're also seeking other ways to invest outside those plans. I think the other thing worth mentioning is that 79% of Ramsey millionaires surveyed never received any inheritance. So only 21% reported receiving any level of inheritance at all. Only 3% reported receiving $1 million or more. So by and large, that means those who make it are largely doing it on their own accord. And if you ever listen to the Ramsey show, you can probably tell that he has a great affinity for teachers. He often speaks to people having the heart of a teacher.
That has the heart of a teacher.
And even when he talks about these different careers that build the most millionaires, he seems to give a little extra mention or a little extra pause when it comes to talking about teachers. He'll say that teachers are so successful at becoming millionaires because they're so used to creating a plan and sticking to it. And I think there's probably a lot of truth to that. You don't get a lot of people who reach 7-figure status and go like, whoopsies, I just accidentally stumbled into becoming a millionaire. I think for most, it is a very deliberate and thought out goal. It is a deliberate choice to live below your means, to save and invest a portion of your income, to know and understand what is happening with your finances. In a similar vein, the Ramsey study found that many millionaires had a history of military service. And I think military service is so great at creating a sense of discipline and dedication to your goals. So maybe if you take a bird's eye view of these careers, you might see that they attract a certain type of person, or there's a certain skill set that they help you develop. Like engineers, they're great at solving problems. Accountants and lawyers, they have great attention to detail. Teachers, they have that great ability to develop a plan and follow through on it. Managers, they're great at coordinating a lot of different moving parts. Any and all of these skills could be seen as instrumental on your wealth building journey. I think what's most telling from this research is it's probably possible to become a millionaire off practically any income. And I'm sure there are many, many high income earners who reach millionaire status. Obviously there is. But I think what's really encouraging is that after decades and decades of research, it shows that those with modest incomes are most likely to become millionaires. Building and creating wealth comes down to habits. What are you willing to do day in and day out for years on end? Is there anything particularly magical about these 5 careers? Probably not. What matters is that you create disciplined habits that drive you towards your goals. I think for the vast majority of people, achieving millionaire status is a very realistic benchmark. Sure, having a bigger shovel, aka a higher income, can certainly help you get there, but it's often not the cure-all that most people think it is. Because for most people, as their income increases, they tend to adopt a lifestyle that's a bit more expensive. So rather than more quickly propelling themselves to financial freedom, they become increasingly tied to their job to afford their life. What do you think of lifestyle creep? How do you keep it in check? Let me know in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye.